when I see these rates of them being the lowest in college, that concerns me.
Less represented in college, post-secondary education, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see some studies which are not funded. It's never been funded. I would like to see comparing socioeconomic levels, like versus like. So I would like to see, you know, a white man who had a 2-parent household, who had X parent income, compared with a black man like, and see those numbers.
My other concern is that black men go to jail at some of the craziest rates. And from what I've seen, it's only going up.
New report finds imprisonment rate of black men has fallen among all races, that we see single mother households breed criminals on a higher percentage rate. None of these black women that hate on black men want to talk about that. She's very nice. She's nice. But this is Mooncakexxo. She's nice, you know. She's very, you know, she's got very perky personality, you know. But ladies and gentlemen, is this a black woman? That's the question. I'll tell you why that's relevant. Now, recently we see a lot of women online that are very outspoken against black men, and they do make a lot of broad statements, all-encompassing statements. When people see a woman like her, quote unquote, representing the black community, whatever that may be, or claiming to be a black woman and talking down on black men, it gives such a bad look. What kind of women would be down talking their men publicly like that? But she's cool, you know. She's a good sport. But I do have a problem with how she presents a lot of her talking points. She presents her talking points almost like one of these white supremacist white men who like to talk about jail and, you know, 14% committing 52% of the crimes, and how blacks don't go to college. She honestly is presenting a lot of these white supremacist talking points. White women don't usually take in those talking points or that rhetoric. It doesn't really stop them from getting with black men, doesn't stop them from becoming baby mamas, right? We see a lot of comments of, oh, single mom, you're a single mom. So how would all these single moms come about if white women were listening to these talking points? But black women, for some reason, or women who call themselves black, they seem to love these talking points and use them to talk down on black men. So we'll check out a little of this stream.
Since slavery.
So this is Mooncakes over here, as you can see. Like I said, very
supposed to get on her back, get great by a white man,
personality,
and let the white man baby suck her titty. That's still the image of the when you look at like
so JP right now is going in. He's going in hard on her.
Right. So a lot of times when black women get with white men, they have to wake up every day and a lie. They had the fake voice. They had to fake like they soft. They had the fake feminine and all this other shit.
Mooncakes only comes around once every year. I don't want to scare her away. So it's a liberal.
Hey, Mooncake. I'm finna land a plane with this. The reason why it appears that white men can treat the black woman better than a black man. Let me tell you the secret. The black woman did not create graveyards in a white man's race. The black woman did not prevent the white man from being in there swirl her baby lives. The black woman did not send a bunch of white men to prison. See, black women created graveyards amongst black men, not just the men that they romantically with, their children, their sons, their daughters. The black women destroyed the black male race, and she running to the white man, so she won't have to be accountable for the graveyards and the prison cemeteries.
Now, this is an interesting point that JP makes very often, is that, first of all, men and women are not the same in any regard. So when we're talking about black women and black men, black women, because they are women, they can kind of skate away. They can avoid a lot of this blame. And I'm not the type of guy that comes on here and blames women for much of anything. I just don't do it in general. You know, I hold everyone accountable. Men have to be accountable for their issues, and women as well. But black women is very interesting because they don't have to take any of this blame for the black community issues. Granted, a lot of the crime statistics are focusing on black men. It is mostly men committing these crimes. But there are a lot of other issues. There's a high divorce rate, and we know that these divorces are filed, majority in the high 80th percentile are filed by women. We know that when these women file for divorce, very often they end up taking custody of the children. And then the women demonize or paint the man in such a bad light, and the man doesn't get his side of the story. So what's interesting about that is that women are the spoils of war. They always have been, they always will be. So when we have a structure of control, right? If we want to say that the white man is in control in the Western world, the white man is the benchmark of success in the Western world. Black women have no pressure to fight for the black men in that situation. All they need to do is skate away. They all just kind of skate away and avoid responsibility because they can just get with a white guy and then completely wash their hands of any responsibility. So that is very interesting how JP presents that. But it's something that a lot of these black women don't consider. Women are the spoils of war. So if we look at this as a culture war, which many people do look at it this way, the women are just following the success. Men cannot follow success in that same regard.
Okay, no problem. Sorry, I have to respond to all that. So I think that JP presents the problem that I'm seeing in the black male community. And I'm not saying all black men are like this. That's not to say that. But what I'm trying to kind of get to the root issue of is that there is a problem going on. When I see these rates of them being the lowest in college, that concerns me. Because then my next question is, okay, what are they doing? If we're being honest, we can see when you graduate.
See, now she's being very disingenuous. I don't know if she's ignorant to these facts, not ignorant as an insult, but genuinely ignorant, like she doesn't know, or if she's willingly presenting it like this, because I've seen a lot of women, black women, present it willingly like this, where they'll say blacks are the lowest in college, lowest rate in college, they're the highest imprisonment, da 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 da. When you really dive into these statistics, that's why I don't like when people just throw out statistics like this. These are white supremacist talking points. When you just throw out statistics like this and you don't extrapolate and you don't take into consideration other factors, you're just kind of painting black men in this case as lesser than, as they're not capable of achieving these things, or they're not capable of staying out of prison, which is just not true.
You're typically, I think it's like you earn $1 million more in your lifetime, right? When you graduate from post-secondary. So when I see black men falling behind, I think this is
mooncakes. These are dumb Americans you're talking to. When you say post-secondary, you have to explain what
I know. Sorry. Yeah, post-secondary, college or university. Sorry about that.
We don't talk like that.
That's fine.
Can I ask you a question, Mooncake?
No, just 10 minutes. Hold on. Just give her 10 minutes.
She's gonna answer the question, so she's gonna talk.
I don't mind.
You're gonna talk. Don't worry. Less represented in college, post-secondary education, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see some studies which are not funded. It's never been funded. I would like to see comparing socioeconomic levels, because would you agree that black men, especially in the United States, black men are in a lower tax bracket more often than white men? You would agree?
Yes.
Okay, so that being said, I would like to see, like versus like. So I would like to see, a white man who had a two-parent household, who had X parent income, compared with a black man and see those numbers.
Yeah, Cliff did pay.
They don't want to let me cook.
Because that is true, right? Unfortunately, a lot of the time they do come from single households, or just not as economically inclined, right? However, what we find is that black women who still come from the same households are still going to college at a higher rate. So what that probably means is that they're working harder to get the scholarships needed to go to these schools. Even if they have to take out bank loans and things of that nature, which I know not everyone wants to do, but they're sacrificing the right now for later down the line. My other concern is that black men go to jail at some of the...
So here she's talking about that they end up going to college, where again, black women and black men are not in the same situation financially, ever. Women and men are not in the same situation financially. We see women of all races, they go on these podcasts and they talk about how, some of them will not buy groceries for a week and they'll just go on Tinder dates. Black men, or any man, could never do that. Men could never do that. You're just going to go on dates to be fed for days at a time? No chance. So if we look here, percentage of black men in two-parent household, college educated. So 28% of black young adults from intact two-parent household. So that's 28%. So 28% of black adults from intact two-parent household. 47% of white young adults are from similar family structures. So right there, we see that 47% versus 28%. That's almost double. So right there, we see that white households, twice as many of white men grow up in a two-parent household. So now if we look at, so remember, double the amount of white men are in two-parent households than black men. Double. So now, percentage of white men who are college educated, approximately 42% of white men age 25 or older have a bachelor's degree or higher, right? For the entire black male population, age 25 or older, 23% hold a bachelor's degree or higher. 28% of black young adults are from a two-parent household. 47% of white young adults are from similar family structures, right? So we know that married people tend to earn more as well. And we see here that it's almost double. So black men, 23% hold a bachelor's degree or higher. 42% of white men, right? So double the amount of white men are in a two-parent household, but it's not even double the amount of white men who hold a bachelor's degree or higher. So already right there, it shows you that black men are crushing it. If black men were in a two-parent household, they would, this is complete speculation, but I'm just saying how you could extrapolate this. You could easily draw the conclusion that because black men have bachelor's degree or higher education, a little more than half, right? However, they are less than half the time in a two-parent household. So if these black men were in a two-parent household, we could draw the conclusion that they would have a higher percentage of college education. So this is why I checked her on that. I told her straight, black men and white men are not in the same socioeconomic or family structures. So for you to say, oh, I don't know why all these black men are not going to college, I don't know why these black men are ending up in prison, when we know that the statistics have shown for years that there's a higher likelihood of going to prison if you're in a single parent household, specifically single mother. And we know that most of these single parent households in the black community are single mother households. So this is how it's so disingenuous when these quote unquote black women who look like they're Indian, which I have nothing against Indian women. I actually love Indian women, but she's trying to claim that she's black. So that's where I find issue. She's trying to claim that she's black, but she's hating on the black community and she's misrepresenting statistics. Watch what she says there.
Go to these schools. Even if they had to go bank loans and things of that nature, which I know not everyone wants to do, but they're sacrificing the right now for later down the line. My other concern is that black men go to jail at some of the craziest rates.
See the wording she's using. They go to jail at some of the craziest rates. She's really trying to paint this ugly picture of the black man. Listen to what she says.
And from what I've seen, it's only going up.
From what I see, it's only going up. Let's fact check that. Where are you seeing this? Are you seeing this on white supremacist pages? Because new report finds imprisonment rate of black men has fallen by nearly 50% since 2000. And I noticed that these numbers are also falling even more since the implementation of these body cams in the United States. We see a lot less, magically, we see a lot less black men being shot by the police wrongfully, and we see a lot less wrongful arrest, and a derivative of that is wrongful conviction, because these dudes are getting filmed now. These cops are getting filmed all of a sudden. Sentencing project, right? And this goes into a lot of the statistics she's talking about, which are true. Black men are seemingly committing crimes at higher rates, right? And they're being imprisoned at higher rates. However, the total population has declined by 25% after reaching its peak, while all major racial and ethnic groups experience decarceration. First time I hear that word. You can see how familiar I am with the prison system. Decarceration. The black prison population has downsized the most. American, Indian, and Latinx people were imprisoned at 4.2 times and 2.4 times the rate of whites in 2021, respectively. The first installment, released today, presents an overview of incarceration and supervision trends. Subsequent reports in the series will focus on the high levels of contact initiated by police, particularly with people of color. Is she going to pretend that she doesn't know that? I don't know. Who knows? 3 key drivers of disparity from within the criminal legal justice system or legal system, addressed by promising reforms from dozens of jurisdictions around the country. Criminal legal policies that jeopardize public safety by exacerbating socioeconomic inequalities, and the reforms that correct this final source of injustice. So when we hear JP talk about how these women don't take any accountability for this problem, this is what he's referring to, because these women who are largely creating the problem, and that's not to hate on black women, that's just statistical among all races, that we see single mother households breed criminals on a higher percentage rate. None of these black women that hate on black men want to talk about that. A lot of these black women, they've had a bad experience with 1 or 2 black men, smashed and dashed, because women in general like to go for the bad boy. So these women maybe went for a bad boy who smashed and dashed, broke their heart, and that wasn't right. I'm not that type of dude, you know. I'm not out here breaking hearts, but a lot of men will do that. And I think the black woman is very delicate, despite how she's painted in you know, a lot of the media and modern discourse. The black woman is very delicate and very, you know, in touch with her emotions and her feelings. And I see a lot of these black women who become hardened and become so aggressive against black men. I could see deep inside them, not talking about Mooncake because she's young, but the older ones, I could see deep inside them that they were just hurt.
My parents got divorced when I was like, what, 12? I think so. My dad was like out of the house.
Very often, they end up taking custody of the children, demonize or paint the man in such a bad light, and the man doesn't get his side of the story.